What's up, guys? Here at the park, it's a beautiful day, and I wanted to put together a little beginner calisthenics workout for you. So the issue I see with a lot of beginner workouts is they want you to do pull-ups and they want you to do dips and things like that. And as a true beginner, as a novice, you just don't have the strength to do that, and that's okay. But we're going to do some things today. They're going to build up the strength to get you on the bar doing pull-ups, get you doing those dips. Let's go. Alright, so the first movement we're going to look at is the row. So the row is a pulling movement similar to the pull-up, working similar muscles but at a different angle. So the row is going to be a horizontal pull, where the pull-up is a vertical pull. But it's going to build up the strength to get you up there doing your pull-ups. Let's check it out. So when you first start off, you might have to start pretty vertical, right? So you stand in here, gripped, drive the elbows back, squeeze the scapula together, just like that. So this might be your starting point. When you get stronger, you can go a little bit more horizontal under the bar. So just stepping forward a bit more, just like that. Bring the chest up, driving back with the elbows. So then again, you get a little bit stronger, a little bit stronger. You can advance even further, get even deeper under there, just like that. So another option too is to go with a bent leg or a straight leg version. So the bent leg is going to be a little bit easier. So if I come here with a bent leg, right, that's going to be a bit easier than if I go straight leg. It's all about leverages. All right, let's check out the next move. All right, a few keys to remember on the row. So when you're down there on the row, make sure your hips are locked. Don't let them sag or don't push them up too high. Make sure this is locked. You want to be a straight line from your heels to the top of your head. Another thing is to focus on the scapula activation. That just means pulling back and squeezing them together at the top of the movement and then letting them naturally come out at the bottom. So that's the pulling movement. Next is the pushing movement, going into the push-up. So the push-up is going to translate over to the dip, similarly to the row dip with the pull-up. So really the push-up is just the opposite of the row. So you can start with something high, just like we adjusted the row with our angle. Do the same thing with the push-up. So you can start with something that's about your hip height, maybe a little bit more if you need to. So hands just outside the shoulders. At the top of the movement, we got the scapula protracted. We're really pressing through right there. Come down. All the way, full range of motion, all the time. And you're always controlling every inch of the movement. And push up, down, and up, down, and up. Alright, so if that's too easy, or when you get to the point where that is too easy, you can adjust simply by lowering your leverage. So, right there, we were kind of hip height. Right here, we're kind of knee height. So that's a good stepping point. Down into this, and again, just like with the row, we're a straight line. Heels to the top of the head. Down and up. Down and up. So once that gets easy, you can progress even further. Go straight to the ground. Same mechanics. Down and up. And before you know it, you'll be on the parallel bars banging out dips. All right, something to remember on the push-ups too is the angle of your shoulder. So when you're doing your push-ups, you don't want to be way up here. You don't want to look like a T, right? You want to look more like an arrow. So if you're looking from behind, this is wrong. Tuck them down. They don't have to be here necessarily, but a good arrow shape, right? And you're pressing, right? You get all the way up here, you put a little unnecessary pressure on that shoulder joint. You don't need to do that. All right, so those are the beginner upper body movements, but let's not forget about legs. Very important. We want to be a complete athlete. We don't want to be a giant, mountain up top and then have little stick legs, right? So, simplest way to get started with legs is the squat. So maybe you can't go all the way down into the squat. Start off with an elevated surface. Remember, it's all about those angles, all about the leverage. So what you'll do is find something that's about knee height or so, whatever works for your level. You just work the squat, come down, touch, and back up. Simple as that. Boom. Boom. So once those get easy to you, you can progress to the next level. Maybe you can get rid of the box or the bench altogether and go into a full squat. Just like that. So when you do your squats, make sure you go full range of motion. None of this. This isn't a squat. I don't know what this is. All the way down, all the way up. What you're going to do by going full range of motion is you're going to activate a lot more muscles. You're going to gain a lot more strength through a farther range of motion. All right, so a couple things to remember when doing the squats. Everybody's built different. So my way of squatting is going to be different from your way of squatting. Maybe your feet go out a little bit more. Maybe your feet come in a little bit more. Whatever, however you're built, man, work with it. But what you want to make sure you do is, whichever way your toes go, your knees are tracking out that same direction. So if your feet are in, cool, man, just make sure that your knees are going that same direction. If your feet are out, cool, make sure they're going the same direction with the knees though. So you don't want to have the feet out here and then the knees coming in here. So start with perfect technique from the beginning and it will help you progress a lot better. All right, so let's not forget about core. Now, core is involved in every movement you're doing already with calisthenics, because calisthenics is going to utilize the whole body in pretty much any movement you do. But we want to target it specifically, build up its strength to help it translate into movements even more efficiently. So the simplest way to start with core is going to be the plank. So for beginner, if you just don't have a lot of core strength at all, then maybe you need to start on a plank from your knees, like right here, and just focus on the good technique with having the tail tucked. So rotate this in, kind of crunch it forward, bringing this together, tighten it up here. You're not going to really do a crunch, but you're going to kind of draw the rib cage down just a bit. But maybe you're beyond this. Maybe you've advanced. So you'll go into a full, what I like to call a high plank. So from here, we're protracting with the scapula. We're not doing this with the tail. We're tucking the tail, drawing the ribs down to the belly button, and then holding it, right? So when that gets a little bit easy to you, you can progress a little bit further. Go to a low plank. So you're going to put your forearms down, hands flat, and same good cues. Pressing through with the shoulders, tucking the tail, and holding it strong, right? So again, when that gets easy for you, you can progress a little bit further by elevating the feet. So just like this here. Now, you can elevate and elevate and elevate the feet, and eventually go like one leg, one arm, all kinds of crazy stuff. But let's start from the beginning, use good form, good technique, and build up our strength the proper way. All right, so now that we've learned all the moves and all the progressions, let's talk about programming. All right, so what is programming? Programming is simply the way that you structure your training to make optimal progress. So for this routine, I would recommend 2 to 3 times a week. Make sure you get a rest day in between each training day, and then shoot for about 2 to 4 sets of about 8 to 12 reps. Now start on the lower end of all of those and take your time and progress to the higher end. So once you get to the point where you're doing 3 or 4 sets of 12 with a given progression, you can go ahead and crank it up, go to the next progression. And again, make sure on each movement you are using perfect technique. It will really pay off in the long run, all right? So that's all, man. Get to training. Let's go.